The recent appointment of longtime broadcaster Charles Adler to the Senate is being called grossly offensive by First Nations in the province he is meant to represent. Even one of Trudeau's cabinet ministers, Dan Vandel, criticized the selection of Adler. For more on the appointment and fallout, we're joined by our Truth and Politics panel. Jennifer Leywitz is a partner with Pasqua Harbour Strategies, and Neegon Sinclair is a columnist with the Winnipeg Free Press. Jennifer, Neegon, thanks for being with us this week as always. Jennifer, you were speaking out about the appointment of Charles Adler to the Senate even before the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs put out its statement. What don't you like about this appointment?
I think it was just shocking that he was one of the picks. We saw Tracy Mugley appointed in Saskatchewan, and, the Liberal government made a big promise in 2014 that they were going to come in and make the Senate nonpartisan, and obviously that has not happened from what we've seen from some of the senators that have been elected or appointed, that have a fairly rich political history with the Liberal Party. But with Charles Adler, I just think it's bananas. Like, it really is. It's highlighting so many various problems that we have with Senate appointments. We have seen Dan Vandel from Manitoba, the Liberals' only minister in that province, speaking out. So obviously he wasn't consulted. And then we saw the Assembly of First Nations in Manitoba also coming out and speaking out. So then that also highlights the issue of, were they not consulted, and did nobody pick up the phone and talk to them either? Neegon,
did you see this as a surprise, this pick?
Not if you, I suppose, see and consider the context of the kind of desperate situation that Justin Trudeau is in politically. He needs a voice that will, at least for the short term, Adler will only be serving about a 5-year term before he's forcibly retired, according to the mandatory retirement age. He needs a force that will combat Pierre Poilievre, will be a self-declared conservative. Whether he is or not is debatable up to this point. My column that I point out is the man is certainly very frivolous with his political affiliations, kind of checkerboarding when conservatism works, when it doesn't. He's somewhat different, and particularly while he calls himself a small C conservative, he's certainly been more of a liberal over the past few years, particularly since he's left talk radio. But I would say that he has become a personal champion of Justin Trudeau and supporting the message of the federal Liberal government. And good, bad, or ugly, that is absolutely what's leading to this appointment.
Jennifer, we recently saw the feds backtrack on the funding cap for searching for unmarked graves. A bit of a surprise. Do you think there will be enough backlash here for this pick to be rescinded?
I honestly don't know. I've been trying to think about that over the last few days, but, like we've discussed previously about, Indigenous people being a political football, we see this all the time. We've seen Liberals come out heavily against Pierre Poilievre and his quotes that he made in 2008 regarding Indigenous people and settlements. But at the same time, this is an opportunity right in front of you where, Charles Adler is not an elected official. He was appointed. Canadians have a duty to elect good politicians, and when they have historical past that are hurtful to Indigenous people or any group of people, you're going to hear about it. But at the same time, we did not elect Charles Adler. The Prime Minister had an opportunity here to really showcase reconciliation, and instead appointed somebody that does have historically a bad relationship when it comes to talking about Indigenous people and our issues. I think in one of the articles I'd read, he referred to our people as boneheads or something like that. And that's a problem. And if the Prime Minister is committed to reconciliation and the fallout from the funding cap relating to gravesite searches, there's that looming cloud over him right now of, if you are actually committed, then show it.
Neegon, as you pointed out, it's kind of changed some positions. I can just remember during the election campaign here, Adler had an article criticizing the billboards about not searching the landfill, which I think pretty much everybody would have agreed with that anyways. But, people recently were criticizing one of your colleagues at the Free Press about their previous articles and views. Can people not change?
Well, I would say the difference between who you're talking about is Tom Broadbeck there, who was well known for having very strong, incorrect, divisive views involving Indigenous peoples. Tom Broadbeck wrote a column taking responsibility for those incorrect, divisive views. Anyone, if they wish, can go and look at my column. I address the fact that Charles Adler, while may have changed his tune over the year, and I think anybody can change their opinion over a period of time, needs to take responsibility for some of those atrocious things, incorrect, factually incorrect, which led to stereotypes and damaging views by his followers about Indigenous peoples, and taking responsibility for that is just something that he's not willing to do. As I've shown in the interviews that he gave just after he was appointed to the Senate, he wants to double down from his time as being a right-wing talk radio host. He doesn't want to take responsibility, and what he says is I profited mightily for the radio stations that I worked for by reflecting the views of what he viewed as Canadian views, and he doesn't apologize for his success. I mean, you can read it right there in the black and white in the quotations on those things that he have come out since he's been appointed. The one thing that I would say is that he asked for a meeting with the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. I couldn't think of a more awkward meeting that maybe would take place if it will be accepted. I can't see the Assembly maybe accepting that, but it is a person that's going to be decision maker on things like funding for First Nations for the next 5 years. So it might be in the Assembly's best interest. But I hope that Adler certainly comes with much more than an apology, but takes responsibility for his past incorrect, divisive statements.
Reached out to AMC earlier today to find out if that meeting will be taking place. Yet to hear. So, Jennifer, Nigon, thanks to you both for doing this.
Thanks.
We'd like to hear what you think about the